we are still doing what we used to do 40 years ago. But we are ending up producing poorly skilled or unskilled graduates. It is not about certification anymore. We have to skill and reskill our children. There is a youth bulge out there. The fact that I had a very good breakfast this morning must not make me forget that there are some who did not have breakfast this morning. The fact that I have lived more than 60 years of my life should not take me away from the fact that there are people who have just completed their universities and they are in their early 20s and they don't have the skills because we have failed. We have failed to skill them for what is required today. And why have we failed? It is because we have continued doing things the way we used to do them in the yesteryears. So every Kenyan must now look at this as not a joke. It is not a joke because the children were produced by our most humble selves. We took them to school and they are in our houses. And we are saying, what about the young ones who are now in their early years? Do we want, after we have gone, that they should continue to be like this, or do we skill them differently? This is what the CBC is about. And all the hot air you are hearing out there is because people are just thinking about themselves. And God forbid. Are we together? So this is a very serious issue that I would want you to engage with your body, soul, and spirit, totally. And tell us whether, if we agree we are Kenyans, where the hell are we going? Let us put politics aside. In fact, throw politics to the dustbin. Let us just discuss this issue and say, if God has blessed you with a child, or you are a relative of a child, how do you want that child to be 10 years from now? Would you want that child to be an engineer who has stayed without jobs for 10 years? Would you want that child to be a welder who cannot weld at international level? When you are looking for welders, you still have to go to China or India to look for them. So these are serious issues, and politics has no place. Whether it is union politics or whether it is national politics or county politics, please put them aside. You can come to politics afterwards, after we have discussed the issues that are seriously requiring your intellectual opinion. And I want to say this, I have no right to be before you here. It is a privilege for me, as Magoha, son of Magoha, to be standing before you and addressing you as a cabinet secretary. It is not a right. Every one of you.
Number Resource Society. It was established on a very simple concept, and that holds in its layers lots of deep goals and visions for the internet in the whole world. NRS was established with a vision to make the internet free and accessible to all people, despite any religious, racial, or non-socio-economic class backgrounds.
Has that right? Are we together? Whether you are looking at me that way, that is it. And we must remember that all of you are stakeholders. And the message I want to give you from my heart before I start reading is that every stakeholder is important. There is none more important than another one. We are all important. Even the weakest stakeholder, the weakest link, is as important as the strongest link. So let me not come and tell you that since I am the sitting cabinet secretary, I am the most important stakeholder. Who has told you? So as I see the hall is full, if we remove the prejudices and contribute what we want, we shall deliver. And I think with God on our side, we shall definitely deliver. Let me end by saying that the way I was created by God, I only trust Him and nobody else. So when you see me talking very passionately about this system, I have gone to schools. Ignore the prophets of doom who are going to come and tell you that this system has failed. They are real prophets of doom. I want to challenge all of you to go to our primary school classrooms. Please try and go without notice. Are you listening? And tell me what you find there. Because I have sampled many of them across the country. And I'm not the type to be told, go and say this. That one you can forget. And even as late as 2 days ago, in the bush somewhere, I was thoroughly impressed by what our excellent teachers are doing with our children. The child may be wearing a torn shirt or a torn sweater like I used to wear when I was at that age. But the child has a book, the child has an IT item, and they are engaging the teacher in the CBC. So why don't we identify the pitfalls and deal with them? That's why I say leave politics outside the door. I'm not under any circumstances, sir, disregarding how important politics is, but this one, we better just deal with the issues first. Then you will find that really we have no choice. Would you like your child to continue the way the child has been continuing for the last 34 years? Yet the ground has shifted completely. So I wanted to start with that, my dear colleagues, and then I will read what I have to read. It gives me great pleasure this morning to preside over this launch of county dialogues on the quality competency-based education in Kenya. I take this opportunity to express my heartfelt gratitude to all those of you who have supported this exercise from its inception. In May, I launched the curriculum policy, one of the fundamental documents anchoring the competency-based curriculum. And I promise that we will mount a national conversation on quality education that we want. Today, ladies and gentlemen, there is a simultaneous launch of county dialogues in all the 8 regions of this country. And this is another remarkable milestone that is a testimony to the fact that the government of the Republic of Kenya is fully determined to involve every Kenyan in the curriculum reform process. I hereby restate the ministry's determination to ensure that views of stakeholders are taken on board to guarantee a curriculum that reflects the wishes and aspirations of all Kenyans. This is indeed why we are running these country dialogues on a rallying call captured under the social media, and I quote, #Your Views Matter. By so doing, ladies and gentlemen, the ministry assures all Kenyans that the implementation of the CBC will progress with a seamless precision to ensure that our learners get a world-class education. And I want to restate that we shall hear all views and incorporate all those.
Hi everyone, my name is Mark Buncombe, and together with a fantastic team across the continent, we look after the mining business for Standard Bank. The more time I spend around this industry, the more I realize just how complex it's getting. Those miners look at us as their bankers, and their expectations of us is to adjust and adapt and support them as they manage all of these very complex parts of their business.
girl, game over. Bad man, I feel taking over. You be mine, girl, forever. Nimekuchagua we, worldwide, all over. Ain't no other girl will ever win me over. When you smile, girl, ni noma. Can't resist what you say, Never seen a girl like you make a bad man know if you put a ring on you. Yeah, ni marriage at the first sight. Yeah, ni marriage at the first sight. Every day me feeling brand new reinvention. Yeah, ni kama wani fine tune. To the left, to the right. Kati can't believe what me say. Nipe nikupe ratupate. Oh, ratupate. Sit down pan me nikupakate. Uweni wangu halua. Halu halu halua. 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 So you only do your thing when it's private. Now najua kwa your sector many pirate, yeah. Nani simu zaidi ande. Addicted to your style, siwezi sare. Let me get your favorite dress, twende pare. Never seen a girl like you make a bad man know if you put a ring on you. Yeah, ni marriage at the first sight. Yeah, ni marriage at the first sight.
That are taking us in the right direction. The launch of county dialogues today marks yet another phase of stakeholder engagement process. Over the last 4 months, we have held consultations with at least 40 different stakeholders. Only weeks ago, the ministry held fruitful engagement with members of parliament and senate, being representatives of our electorates. The elected leaders gave us incredible feedback on the CBC, which we are factoring into our implementation process, and we shall continue to engage them. We have also met the clergy and a battery of other people, including officials of the Kenya Secondary School Center Association, Kenya Primary School Center Association, Coopet, civil society, development partners, and many others, including the Liberator Coalition. We will keep meeting with more of these stakeholders as we continue, as this is a dynamic process. Ladies and gentlemen, currently, session of paper number 1 is pending before Parliament. And I want once again to ask our very able legislators to dispense with this document as soon as they have time to do so. This is not to say that we require a session of paper in order to continue with what we are doing. A session of paper is never required for a curriculum. In fact, the 844 never had one. And a session of paper is holistic about the whole education process. But it would help us to have this dispensed with, coupled with the curriculum policy, so that we move on without too much noise outside there. In the past 4 months, ladies and gentlemen, officials of the ministry, led by my most humble self, have visited schools in nearly all regions of this country, and we shall continue to do so. Based on the visits, I can confirm, without any fear of contradiction, and before God, my Creator, that CBC is working. I want to invite you once again not to listen to the prophets of doom and to pay a visit to any of the primary schools. As you do so, you will find some of the schools have up to 80 children, like I found at Ganjoni Primary School in Mombasa, but they were repellent, and there was one teacher doing the job extremely well. Others will have maybe only 40, others will have 27. So let nobody tell you that, oh, you know, once you have more than 40 children, CBC cannot work. Those people that are telling you that, have they gone there to look at these schools? It is true, and I want to accept on behalf of government that there are challenges with regards to primary school infrastructure, and the government is dealing with it and shall continue to deal with it in an organized and phased manner. To the extent that this year we have over 300 million shillings, which we are going to use to improve this infrastructure as we continue to implement this. With regards to textbooks, again.
Bonjour à tous, c'est Sheila Ellis. Je vais vous chanter une chanson que j'adore, c'est Mario de Franco.
I have confirmed that textbooks have been delivered for the CBCs up to Standard 3. And our teachers are enjoying the materials supplied. They're not only enjoying them, they're enjoying the teaching. So let nobody outside there tell you that the teachers are incompetent. The teachers I have seen are competent. Even me, I sometimes don't connect with my students the way these teachers connect with the children. Because they teach the children on the blackboard, the children go to the blackboard themselves, they give them tasks and they move around with them as the children perform the tasks. So if you are going to oppose something, please go and have a look at it. Don't come and give us rubbish. Like when I get reports, I put them aside because quite a significant part of them are rubbish. Do you understand? So when somebody brings you a report of a research, throw it to the dustbin. Go yourself and confirm. Because if you are going to do research which you have already decided what you want, or you want to fake the data to justify your research, I'm urging you, in fact, I'm charging you, because you are my officers, the majority of you are my officers, isn't it? Don't sit in your chairs. Go and have a look at what is happening in the schools, and you will be shocked. And let us work together. Nobody said everything is perfect. But as far as teaching is concerned, I think we are almost 100% without prejudice as we continue to deal with those challenges. I wish to urge all Kenyans to ignore any form of false data that may create the impression that teaching and learning materials aren't adequate in schools for the CBC. I also wish to assure the country that the Teacher Service Commission has trained well in excess of 100,000 teachers on CBC delivery. They are excellent teachers. This August, the last 2 weeks of August, we are going to train again, together with the Teacher Service Commission, close to another 100,000. And most of these teachers we are going to train shall be teaching year 4. In fact, I gave my word that by September, we shall be ready to roll into year 4. And I think Chair of KICD is here. I hope the books will have been printed, because me, I have no teeth when it comes to working. And we shall also make sure that the books are delivered before the children go to school. Because when you are dealing with government, government is government. Unasikia? Serikali hapana takataka unacheza nayo huko nje. The ongoing county dialogues, ladies and gentlemen, will culminate in the National Education Conference on Curriculum Reforms to be held on the 16th of August, 2019. In fact, I've politely asked Dr. Sarah Ruto, who is the chair of KICD, and who is also the chair of the organizing committee of this conference, which she did not say. You have seen how good she is. 3 points, and she's gone. I have politely instructed her that that website must be alive by tomorrow. We don't want to start saying will. It should be alive by tomorrow, and it should be very interactive. The conference will enable the sharing of all county-specific issues raised from the counties, collect relevant monitoring reports, and ensure county discusses critical lessons learned on the CBC. The national conference will form the basis of the roadmap for the CBC rollout of Year 4 on Grade 4 in 2020. This conference, the ministry has lined up 4 sector-specific pre-conferences that she has already spoken about, and I will not waste time to say anything again. To provide context for the county conversations that we are launching today, the Kenya National Examination Council, NEC, is releasing findings of 3 assessment studies. And I want to pause here and ask NEC. NEC is an institution that I'm in love with. That Mercy Karogo and her team must speak in simple language, in very simple language, which a meat seller or a book vendor or anybody else or a hawker can understand. Do you get the point? Up to now, there are issues. Speak in simple language. What exactly are you doing with a grade 3 child? Don't start telling people you want to register the child. Register the child for what? You want to count the child so that we know the numbers in the class. That is simple enough. You want to count the number. In this school, if there's a primary school attached here, how many children are in grade 3? That data is important for us. What is it that you want to assess? Because the child is being assessed every day. If you have gone to the classroom, because I don't listen to anybody, you will find they have books where they are assessed regularly. There's a master role where they are assessed regularly. Mercy must get a language to tell the wananchi in a manner that they understand that whatever they are going to do has nothing to do with examination. And it is not going to be a bottleneck for the child to go to the next group. What is it that you want to find out? I also know that there is a question mark, and that's why the task force is there, headed by a very eminent Professor Fatuma Chege from Kenyatta University. Kenyatta University was the university for education. I don't know where it has gone to, but you still have top grade education is there. Do you get the point? Shall we have an assessment in standard 6? Yes. An assessment, an internal one? Yes. An exam? I don't know. That's why the task force is there. And they have to work like yesterday, because we don't want to keep the people anxious. Otherwise, the enemies of CBC will use that to cause a lot of chaos for nothing. Again, Dr. Karogo, as you talk to your people, be very simple. You are not talking to teachers, you are not talking to professors, you are talking to the public. Yes. Waambia kwa ile lugha, very simple language. What is it you want to do with the child? Are we together? We realize that in order to ensure provision of quality education, there is need to regularly collect empirical data on the learning outcomes. Data on the learning outcomes. This Kamau,
At Aga Khan, we are privileged, I think, to have an excellent one-stop diabetes facility. So you have both the doctors and the diabetes educators. So what that means is that you have access to a consultant who is trained, especially in diabetes, and they will help you with the management of the medication aspect of your treatment. Many times when you talk about the appointment structure, we would usually see you a bit more frequently at.
He has even already drawn me at this standard 3. Maybe he will be an arts student, and you keep that on record. Are we together? I saw another child fiddling with the father's telephone and opening sites which I don't want to mention here. And I think he was about 2 years. What do you think that child is going to be able to do in grade 3? Those are the learning outcomes we want to monitor. Are we together? As we move along. This is provided for in Kenya's legal framework guiding provision of quality education such as the Basic Education Act of 2013. To this end, ladies and gentlemen, the government institutionalized the National Assessment System for monitoring learner achievement, NASMLA framework in 2006, and established the National Assessment Center at NEC to conduct monitoring learner achievement studies at the basic education level. So monitoring learner achievement. It is not an examination. Unaona hata mimi ni ngumbano, but I can tell you that it is not an exam that you have put in the children. I note with great pleasure that NEC has completed 5 monitoring learner achievement studies with support from PRID project over the last 12 months. These studies have profiled learner characteristics in terms of knowledge, skills, attitudes, and competencies, as well as factors that impinge on the acquisition of these skills among classes 2, 3, 7, and Form 2 learners. So this is like a hybrid. It's not necessarily. The studies have revealed areas of concern such as low achievement. You know, this is like a sword. It's cutting both sides. I'm only concerned with 2 and 3. I hope they were the CBC ones, or they were not. If they were not, you will tell them. But the reason why I'm saying this is good for me, also to fight the enemy, 7 and Form 2 learners. So if you are going to see challenges, anybody who is telling you that 844 has no problem, I hope when they present this, and I might not be here, but when they present this, they should be able to tell you that some of those problems we have learned from 844, we will try to fix them with a new one. The studies have revealed areas of concern such as achievement levels, especially in the 21st century, skills such as critical thinking, analytical skills, pupil overage, pupil absenteeism, teacher-centered pedagogical skills, low integration of ICT in learning. I would like to say that in the yesteryears, when I was at NEC, and I should be forgiven by my teachers because I'm very close to them, so this is real. When I took over as NEC chair, I had noticed that teachers sometimes were not available in class. Excuse me, please. For the CBC where I've gone without notice, they are 100% in the class. So what else do you expect? Because CBC also encourages the teacher to go to class, because if you are not there, then nothing is going to happen. Are we together? You can't come and say, now open page or open chapter 4 and read. Then unaenda kwa mashambani unarudi baadaye. This one you have to be there. So over the last 3 months, I have found 100% across the country. So what do we want? What exactly do you want us to do if that is not good enough for you? The ministry will continue ensuring that basic education is more inclusive through provision of structural materials and resources for learners, especially the special needs children with disabilities. So let me just say that dialogues will therefore God is good, and all the time. Please sit down. I always wonder why people have to stand. And that is going to set the tone for my address today. My dear brothers and sisters, I've chosen not to separate you, even though I'm very deeply attached to TSC. And I would have felt that I should recall, but we are together. And I would like us to remember, especially having listened to my brother, President Indimuli, that I strongly believe that if you don't love yourself and you don't love your neighbor, therefore you can't love God. All the rest is pretense. And I believe that I'm thoroughly humbled to be before you. I don't think I qualify to be before you, even though I'm one of you. I've taught for quite a few years. But I also strongly believe that it is God the Almighty that has enabled me to be here, to stand before you here this day. So first of all, we should thank him for giving us yet another day in our lives. I don't intend to bore you. I do not intend to answer my critics outside the critical stakeholders. They are welcome because that is what is expected of a cabinet secretary. But I have decided, when I went for training in the US just the other day, I was first of all shocked that the Ministry of Education is the most difficult everywhere in the world. So it has kind of energized me. The second thing I found out there is that the least funded Ministry of Education in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East gets about 22% of the budget. So at 35% of the budget, we are definitely not doing very badly. But I have then decided that I will take two legacy issues. One of them is 100% transition. The other one is competency-based curriculum. And my dear brothers and sisters in this room, you are there for my employers because I am not proud. I'm just saying that if I can't deliver, then I don't need to be here. And I need you. You don't need me. I need you as a team in order for me to deliver. And so I am going to explain to you the way I look. I know niko na sura mbaya, that's one. But having said so, my strength, first of all, comes from God and my firmness. So don't tell me to stop being firm. I shall not listen to you. There are people out there who have decided to demonize my firmness for arrogance. How can a stray boy be arrogant? We were trained to be servant leaders, trained to be leaders by example. That's why you see me everywhere. So I'm telling you this so that you don't listen to any other description of Magoha, son of Magoha, that you may hear from somewhere else. But I shall be firm with myself, with you, and with anybody else. And that firmness, together with truthfulness and neighborliness, then we shall move forward. Second point. When I listen to my brother, President Inimuli, it is like we are different groups. No, we are not different groups. We can only deliver as one group. So in this whole cycle that you have here, that's why I get embarrassed when you stand. Because I'm just one among you. And by the grace of God, I am here. So every critical player is important, including the other stakeholders who are not principals. If we don't understand this, then we are not going anywhere. That includes the associations, the unions, and what have you, everybody else. So if we agree that that's the way we are going to go, then as you criticize us, give us concrete solutions to move forward. Why do I say so? I am a professor, and people say I am proud. Yes. If I'm not proud of myself, who is going to be proud for me? So you should also be proud of yourselves as teachers. Do you get the point? And teachers are the best, the most important professionals. Why are we proud? It's because we are thinkers as teachers. A teacher is a thinker. A teacher is not an activist. any teacher who has become an activist should resign from the noble profession of teaching. Because when you are a teacher, you look at issues and think openly and widely. Do you get the point? A professor is just another name of being a teacher. If I was a professor, I'm told, no, you must teach like this. I'll tell you, thank you very much. Let me go and teach somewhere else. So that's why I respect you, and I want to start by saying that you should realize that as a thinker, there is no better person than yourself. A thinker never thinks on one track. A thinker is able to bite the bullet and say, well, unless you convince me otherwise, this is the way I'm going. Don't make noise. You don't have to make noise. Let's think. Do you get the point? And whatever you are arguing about should be measurable. A thinker does not talk about things that you cannot measure, that you cannot approve. And I'm proud of you because you are thinkers. And let me tell you why. The first point I want to make here is that I'm actually very proud, because through my firmness with the regional education coordinators, both in the Teacher Service Commission and the Ministry of Education, we have reached out to you, those in boarding schools. We have reached out to you, and even those in day schools, because now they have started banning even day schools, isn't it? And we have reasoned together, and you have reduced banning by almost 75% compared to the same period last year. Now, that is team. If you can't clap for yourself, who is going to clap for you? That is teamwork. And as thinkers, we agree that it is better to punish one child rather than punishing the parents of the whole school so that they produce money that they don't have to build another structure. That is one of the things I'm trying to do at the ministry, and I cannot do it without you. So when we said, please just check, when somebody has gone to prep, check the rooms after they have left, check everywhere. And they are finding people who have poured petrol on the mattresses and are just waiting to throw a matchstick from outside. So you are my heroes. I want to thank you for that. And you are also your own heroes. You are also your own heroes because you have children, isn't it, who go to those schools. And you might also be a parent where another student bans a school and you are told you must contribute. So please let us work together in that direction. Second thing I want to say about teachers today, as I honor you, all of you, is that I work best as a submarine. You know what a submarine does? It goes underwater. So there are schools I have checked that don't know that I have been there. Many of them. And what I have seen, I have been happy about. Starting from primary school, the teachers are in the school and they are teaching. And they definitely need our support. So before I read what I came to read, I now want to try to answer President Ndimuli in the best way I can, despite the fact that, again, another thing that I'm different with, as a I can't say that I can't deal with politics. I'm dealing with it every day. But I will not be a politician. It's not my cup of tea. And that makes me to talk a little bit too much about things I'm not supposed to talk of. And on the issue of increased teachers at school, I will say more than Belio, and I will say more than my dearest chairperson, Dr. Nzomo, because I get my orders from only one person. And one of the orders was that we make sure there is money for teacher interns. And that money is going to be available. She's diplomatic. I'm not in that section. That money is going to be available. It will be available to all schools to empower them, to employ interns. And since we work very well with Teacher Service Commission, my sister, Dr. Nzomo, and my dearest sister, Dr. Nancy Macharia, whom I'm missing, but I think she'll come soon, we will be able to monitor and get a feedback to Kahindimuli. So this year, in this year's budget, that has been captured. So you can go and take it to the bank. With regard to NHIF, I unfortunately happen to be a doctor. If we pay an insurance premium, that premium is paid as lump sum. So I get confused when President Ndimuli is saying they are charged 1,500 per visit. That should not bother you as long as the premium was paid. Once the premium is paid, the way it works, I break my leg, it is treated, and NHIF refunds. That is the way it has to be. Any child that is not on NEMIS, that is unwell and has gone to a treatment center, must and shall be treated as long as there is evidence that that child is a student. It's not a favor, that's the way it has to be. Because I don't know, in terms of the total amount we pay to NHIF, it's a huge amount, isn't it? So our children, I keep saying I'm only here because of our children. I don't want to instruct Belio because he has been in the ministry more than me. But you see, I always leapfrog him. We work very well, and he doesn't mind. I will also go to the ground. So if you find any child taken back home, do you get the point? The president will know about it. And you are most unlikely not going to keep your job whoever you are. Who do you think you are? Because you have to give the child what is due to that child. Because when I was at NHIF this morning, they told me very clearly they don't return patients away. But I have to listen to Kahindimuli because we have worked very well. So that one also you can take to the bank. On the competency-based curriculum, where I want to thank my brother, Banakademia, and his colleague, who are together with Ndimuli and his colleague, who have publicly pronounced that they support CBC. It doesn't mean they support it with eyes closed. Do you get the point? Kupet has said so many times they support CBC. They are not supporting it with eyes closed. So is the Catholic Church and many other critical stakeholders. My plea to the others is that please come on board. But don't come on board by saying, oh, you have to roll this thing back. I have my orders from my employer, which I will defend with the last drop of my blood. And if it gets to a point now that I've been convinced, because I've been to the field, I've visited over 50 odd primary schools at random. I don't announce so that there is fanfare. I found out the majority of the teachers are women. They are in the class. They are engaging children in a manner that I have never seen in my life. If you want to counter-check, why don't you go to the field and check yourself? Are you together? That's why I'm now saying, I don't understand. If you are a teacher, why don't we think together? The children are actually being empowered. You will see they are being empowered, even in the most, in the bush somewhere. I've been to the bush in Kilifi, I've been to the bush in Ukambani, I've been to the bush in Busia, and many other places. And tomorrow, I will now go to another bush just to find out whether the books were delivered within this area. Because I don't trust anybody except God. Even though I've been told books have been delivered, I will go and look at the place with the eyes that God has given me. So please help me and let us work together. On the issue of increased capitation, ladies and gentlemen, the Cabinet of the Republic of Kenya has 22 ministers, isn't it? I started by saying we are a team, so don't now keep quiet on me. It has 22 ministers, and I am one, already with 35% of the budget. Who the hell do you think is going to support me in that cabinet? No, let us engage, please. Who is going to support me in that cabinet? Instead, they want to claw some of the money away. That's the shock that I got. Which takes me back to a situation where I say, well, since I'm not going to fail and we are not going to fail, can we, as the Kenyan public and parents and government, look for other solutions? And I have asked Kahi Ndimuli, I've spoken to many people. In fact, next time when I meet the president quietly, I will also explain to him that there is a group of Kenyan middle class who will not mind contributing to better their schools. Why is government saying there should be a blanket ban? Can the parent teachers associations be empowered to agree to the level that they can? As long as the poor and indigent child is not forced to pay. The poor and indigent child is not forced to pay, and you will find one or two heretic parents who are rich but they don't want to pay. Don't force them. But I believe then you can capture about 70% of candidates. This will help us to improve most of the things that we are talking about. P.S. I know I'm walking in a dangerous ground here, but if they were to ensure that they confirm with us what they want to do, for example, with competency-based curriculum, we are going to need infrastructure. We have only been given 1.2 billion. 1.2 billion. Why can we not ask the parents to chip in, those who can afford to chip in? This is what I'm saying, and if it is done properly, this is the way I want us to go. But please, let principals not ask for money for other things. And don't take a child out of school because he has not contributed, because it should be voluntary contribution, isn't it? Mmenyamaza sasa tena. I strongly believe, since we have the highest electricity penetration in Africa, through the wisdom of the current president and his government, he will not be averse to lowering tariffs for schools. And apart from talking to the energy minister, we shall also talk to other people who are more important, which means we shall talk to the DP and the president himself. There must be a formula, because if the president wants to leave a legacy of 100% transition, you don't shoot your legacy on the foot. You won't go anywhere. Do you hear this? So I'm very glad that, Ndimuli, that you brought this to our attention. We are going to engage, because if you win, I also win, the presidency also wins. That's what we want. And our children also win. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot pretend before you that I understand everything about NEMIS. But I want to give you my word. I want to give you my word. Point number one, that for the next 2 to 3 weeks, I will go and camp at NEMIS to understand Because I don't believe anybody, I don't believe what anybody is telling me. I want to understand what is in Nemis. Are we together? You on your part, Kahi Ndimuli, can you find out that we don't have ghost schools or ghost children so that we are able to work together? I've just spoken to CS Matiang'i a few minutes ago, and he tells me very firmly that by December this year, this problem of identification for Nemis is going to be a thing of the past, especially with Huduma number, which then makes me to come back to you all. Have you ensured that all your students have got the Huduma number? Because what are they saying? If you don't, thank you very much. If you are one of those who still believe that Huduma number is evil, get your birth certificate. Are we together? The temporary solution we have for now is that as soon as we get the data, all the monies that are due will be paid for in full. That money is there. But in the same tone, if we catch a thief, I have no teeth. If you know, it is a matter of choice. Because I've told you where my strength comes from. The fear of God and firmness. So if you catch a thief, that's your choice. There's no point to make noise. And I would have said, if a thief is caught, if I was a thief and I was caught, I would say, Pole sana, ilikuwa shetani, even though shetani was not there. But if you are remorseful, you can be forgiven. If you are a thief and you are thumping your chest, hata kama umenishika nikitoka jela bado nitaiba tu, then you'll get a very long sentence, isn't it? So for Nemis, I believe that we are going to work this because it is one of the things that can make me also fail. Because I've chosen only 2 legacy units. Textbooks, I caught one thing from Indimuli. And I take full responsibility as the minister in charge, who is not a coward. Nasikia? If we have used data for textbooks, then that same data should be used for funding. It's as simple as that. As we clean, going forward, let us be fair to everybody. Otherwise, even the textbook should follow the Nemis line. Isn't it? But I want to pause here. I'm seeing Madam Lesuda there. I'm seeing my service commanders. General Duale is there. How do you spend your day? How do you spend your day? I noticed that when I was given reports, they were all fake reports. They are all fake reports. The most embarrassing one was when I was before Parliament and one of my directors gave me a wrong report and I read it before Parliament. Then we agreed that he goes to check, but he didn't know how I operate. I immediately went into action like a submarine and found out there was nothing going on there. He comes to me the following day and said, now they are on the site. I say, you are a stupid idiot. So the reason why I'm charging my service commanders is this. If they want the president to succeed, their place is not in the seat in the office. It is out in the field. And if you don't see them, tell me. Do you understand? If nobody has come to your school, no quality assurance officer from both TSC and national government has come to your school for a whole term, then there's a big problem. Then we are just making noise, isn't it? So I'm pleading with you to try what I do. I'm not special. I'm just slightly senior in age, but I can tell you how I operated yesterday. I started at 6 with a breakfast meeting. Are we together? After that, I went to another one. After that, I went to give my class, which I must give. And then I started thinking of preparing to come here. And I was here on time to host the dinner at over 60. What the hell are you doing? Success is not going to come to you. You have to go to it. And when each and every one of us does the little that is required, the synergy will bring us the results. Isn't it? Since I wanted to be very nice today, I'm not even going to read the speech. Just to say that I strongly believe, for example, TSC is known at Harvard University. It is one of the very best teacher organizations. I felt proud. That's the only thing that identified me there. And TSC cannot be known if it is not because of you. Do you see the point? Oh, how do they do this? I would like to come. I say, come, I will take you to them. But the story ended there. So my charge to you as I leave the podium, my dear brothers and sisters, is that if we are just a group of 10,000 people like we are here, there is no energy. If we become a team of these 10,000 plus all the people under you, and you only do what you have to do, my first charge to you is do not believe what your subordinate tells you. Please go and check. If you just do that, you will see what happens. Because me, I'm telling you through experience. I'm given reports like this. Then I close my eye and pick one. Then I test it. It's negative. I pick another one. It's negative. Dustbin. Because then if I follow that report, then I'm done, isn't it? They'll tell you, kila kitu, you call your top people, they tell you, no, everything is all right. Hakuna shida. How can everything be all right when I say, even with the CBC, there are problems that I need all of you, including NAT, my dearest union called NAT. I also need you to support, because you have a mandate to support. So I can't say everything is going on well with the CBC. We are doing our very best. And I want to say this, and I hope Nat is also listening. There is no time that our country will be ready to roll out the competency-based curriculum. So I want to congratulate the government, I was not there then, for being bold enough to launch it. I also remember when I was outside the country, there was one very dear lady who was asked, okay, what could have been done differently? And I was very keen because I need to know. And you know what she said? We should have been training teachers for 5 years. Either she doesn't know what I know, or she's ignorant.
No more itchiness. Use Dark and Lovely Waterless Cleanser at least 3 times a week.
Or she's ignorant. Because the government, one of the things I was told to do as I was being employed, I went with the president aside and he said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So when you see me very firm, mimi niko na mchungaji yako, sio wewe. Teachers, how many do you employ a year? 28,000. Said, that is not enough. Make sure you get money to get interns. And make sure every year they keep on employing 28,000. So it is like somebody who wants to buy a Volkswagen, which is at 8,000 shillings. And you say you want to buy, you have 7,500. Instead of taking a loan to buy it, you say, let me wait until I have the money. Next year it goes to 10,500. You have 8,500. The following year it goes to 30,000. Who is the fool? So the government made a very wise decision to launch the CBC, and we welcome everybody's contribution. And that contribution must be based on truth. And I want to give you my final take. You see these hands? They are blessed by the grace of God up to today.